In early 2020, I joined Hypixel to record some footage for this video. I didn't have as good of a PC then, and I had way too many programs open, so my game was lagging. After an unusually long connection time, I recorded a clip and left to go into single player. Then, the strangest thing happened. While I was in single player, I could see and talk in Hypixel chat. The tab menu was Hypixel's, the sky was flickering like crazy, and there seemed to be some invisible blocks preventing me from moving around. My game started lagging bad, and then swiftly crashed. Upon relaunching the game, everything was normal, and no matter what I tried, this strange and unknown experience never happened again. Little did I know at the time that I was one of the few people to have seemingly experienced one of the most obscure and rare Minecraft bugs in existence. A bug which has existed for almost 8 years now, since 2014. And what I and many others had unknowingly experienced could be extremely powerful, allowing players to X-ray and no-clip through the world, be on 2 servers at once, potentially teleport millions of blocks, and in something I never thought was possible, transfer items from one server to another. Now this could be utterly game-breaking. It all started a few weeks ago. I had long since forgotten about my one-of-a-kind Minecraft event at this point, but then one of the players on my server, og-network.net, brought up this extremely weird experience he'd had. This is the footage he sent, which isn't the best quality, but as you can see, the sky is constantly flickering between day and night. It was like he was on 2 Minecraft worlds with 2 different times of day at the same time. After sharing this strange encounter, an active player of the server named Chromatic Prism mentioned that he'd too experienced something similar, getting impatient upon trying to join Hypixel once and misclicking and joining my server instead. Upon doing so, it was like he had connected to 2 servers at once, and the game clearly didn't like it. I, of course, upon hearing about this, was reminded of what happened to me 2 years ago, and got extremely curious, asking Prism to send me a video so I could try to replicate it for myself. What he told me he did is join a server to which the game would freeze, and then while it was frozen, he would spam click another server, and voila, he had figured out how to replicate it. It seemed too good to be true though, so I booted up Minecraft, followed the method, and nothing. You see, Prism had told me that it seemed to only work in a specific Minecraft client known as LabyMod, as for some reason, whenever you would connect to a server, it would freeze like so. This strange lag or freezing seemed to be the key to replicating this bug. But while that initial freeze happened to Prism, on my side, the client never froze, unfortunately. However, fortunately for me, we are on the home stretch to 400k subs now, and they're so close, so consider subbing and get this little badge I can see next to your name. No pressure, of course. Anyways, no matter what I did, I could not replicate this lag, so I started experimenting. First, I tried to lag my game by limiting Minecraft's RAM usage to 1 GB, but that didn't help at all. I then tried updating a bunch of games on Steam to lag my internet, but still, no luck. And after about 30 minutes of random rabbit holes and trial and error, I discovered that when I was connected to a VPN, my client now had that same lag we saw in Prism's video. Then I connected to my server, and when the game froze, I quickly spammed Hypixel. What happened next was extremely weird. What you're watching now is footage of the first time I successfully recreated this obscure glitch. Upon joining Hypixel, I first noticed my chat was spammed with weird unable to locate sign messages. And guess what? The coordinates of those signs are the exact coordinates of the survival game signs on my server, OG Network. But I'm not on my server, I'm on Hypixel. Right? Well, that's when I noticed that the sky was changing color. It was like it was switching between the world on my server and Hypixel's world. Looking at the day counter in the F3 menu confirmed this. I tried to move around to observe my environment, only to be blocked by what looked like invisible blocks. Right now I'm trying to walk forward and it just doesn't work. The weirdest thing, however, was that while I was on Hypixel and I could see the chat, open the GUIs and move around, I didn't really exist. I was like a ghost. Players could see me in the lobby, but while I was moving around to other players, I looked entirely still. My chat messages wouldn't send either. I could also move items around in my inventory, something you aren't normally able to do on Hypixel. It was like I was there, but I wasn't. I then reversed the bug by joining Hypixel first and then my server, og-network.net, and things only kept getting weirder. Now online my server in the hub, things suddenly disappeared. I was connected to my server, and I confirmed this by logging in on another account to which I could see myself in the hub, yet I could still see and talk in the Hypixel chat. I could join parties, send friend requests, and more. But this time, my inventory was different. It was the hotbar which is present on my server, not Hypixel's. So I tried to join my server's SMP to see what would happen. And it worked. Upon joining my SMP, I could now talk in my server's chat and still see the Hypixel server's chat, but they could no longer see mine. I was still online on Hypixel as well, and even received party invites and messages which I could no longer join or respond to. I also had an entire chunk of X-ray, and keep in mind, my server has X-ray protection as well. And then boom, all of a sudden, I was teleported back to Hypixel into their AFK room, and upon leaving it, I was once again on Hypixel like everything was normal. Except for the flickering sky, day counter constantly changing, the fact that I was still logged into my SMP, and my server's chat still being visible. Oh, and ignore the fact that I could /TP myself around on my SMP, and it would also quickly teleport me on Hypixel before their anti-cheat seemed to move me back. Now I was intrigued. What the hell had just happened? I had quite literally been on 2 servers at once, seemingly switching between both upon joining the SMP. I could see and talk with players of both servers, move in both worlds, and even potentially manipulate my position. What else was possible? Could I do this on newer versions of the game? I knew I had to do more research and find more data, but there was so little information online. Luckily, in my research, I stumbled across an old bug report from December 2014 known as MC74984. The bug report, which at this point had been unresolved for almost 8 years now, had some very interesting information. Players were basically reporting similar variations and experiences as me. As I scrolled through the many comments from the past 8 years, I noticed one which mentioned something. A player had commented that they were able to transfer their items and inventory from one server to another. Immediately after reading this, I realized the power this bug could have. Imagine being able to bring items from your own private server where you have op and creative mode onto a server like 2b2t. If possible, this bug could be game breaking. But there was one problem. So far, I had only been able to replicate this bug in 1.8.9 on a specific client, being unsuccessful in using the same method in more modern versions. I spent a few hours trying out various methods players listed in this bug report, such as direct connecting, then quickly cancelling and joining another server, but to no avail. Prism also had limited success. It seemed that this bug had some unknown quirks related to internet connection strength and location, which made it only work for some individuals and not others. For almost 8 years, it seemingly had not been able to be properly reproduced. But then, while trying out various methods, I stumbled upon a link to an Exumavoid video from early 2018. In this video, he demonstrates something very similar to the bug reported here.
So, currently in this world, I am standing around 0, 0, and we're going to teleport to another coordinate without moving around or doing anything. We're going to save and quit this world, and we're going to go onto the Hermitcraft server, although we're not, because we're going to quickly click cancel twice, go back into the world, and what should happen when we come in here is it's going to load the Hermitcraft world. So we saw the original world, then we saw this world right here. It is loading the other world physically, and it is displaying this world, the Hermitcraft world, to us. If I press F3, 477, and then minus 967. When we save and quit and go back into this world, guess where we are going to be? We are going to be at those coordinates in this world right here, as you can see.
So Exuma had seemingly teleported in his single player world by going to specific coordinates on Hermitcraft. And sure enough, I was able to replicate this exact bug in 1.12.2 vanilla when using a VPN and a server. This meant I was effectively able to teleport myself to the world border in mere seconds. Exuma mentioned in this video that this bug would only work on single player, but this got me thinking, could I do this on multiplayer servers as well? So I booted up a private 1.12.2 server and got testing. Using the same method Exumavoid showcased, I first connected to my private server, but then quickly cancelled that and after connected to my SMP. Upon joining the SMP, things would be normal until bang. After a few seconds, I'd seemingly been connected to my private server as well. And yes, both servers displayed me as being online once again in both server consoles. I had successfully replicated the bug in 1.12.2 vanilla. Now I had to know, could I use the same teleportation exploit that Exuma had used in single player on a multiplayer server? So I logged on with a second account to OG Network and tried teleporting myself around to see if it would teleport me on my private server as well. And for a brief second I thought it worked as I saw my coordinates change, but then nope, I was moved right back. I was unable to teleport. Disappointed with my failure, I spent another 2 or 3 hours trying various methods of teleporting. I tried setting my spawn point, then /killing, I tried connecting in different ways, and so much more. As I was getting close to giving up, realizing that this bug may not be as game-breaking as I had envisioned it to be, something crazy happened. While I was experimenting on my SMP, some players had found me and were just messing around, placing blocks around me. One happened to drop items onto the ground near me, to which I shockingly picked up. This gave me an idea. I got Prism online and told him to wait for my word, and we did the impossible. So as you can see on my private server, I have a bow and 64 arrows in my inventory. Then on my SMP, I have nothing in my inventory. First, I connected to my private server, but then cancelled it quickly and joined my SMP using the same method I talked about just before. After a few seconds, I got that familiar sign that I'd also connected to my private server. You can even see this by the items in my inventory magically appearing. I was now on both servers at once. I then asked Chromatic Prism, who was on my SMP, to drop me some items. He dropped me 8 pistons, an enchanted diamond pickaxe, and then threw a potion on me. I now had these items in my inventory on the SMP. Then I disconnected from my SMP and rejoined my private server, normally. Boom. There it was. My theory was correct. Right in my inventory were 8 pistons and the enchanted diamond pickaxe Prism had given me on my SMP. This is no glitch or ghost items either. I was able to place the pistons and use the pickaxe, which also kept the exact same enchantments and exact same durability. I had successfully brought items from my SMP onto my private server. I had transported items through servers. And I was shocked. I mean, who would have thought this would be possible? The implications of this finding could be really game-breaking. This wasn't a once-off exploit either. Utilizing the exact same method, I could bring any item through to my private server. So I had to know, how far could I go with this exploit? And I've got good news and bad news. After successfully transporting items from my SMP to my private server, I tried to reverse this process and bring illegal items from my private server onto my public SMP. In doing so, I learned something. It seems that for this exploit to work, you have to have slower connection to the server you want to bring items to. You may have noticed how long it took me to connect to my private server with a VPN on in the previous experiment. So I couldn't use my private server here because I would connect to OG-network too fast. Instead, I set up a local server, knowing that there's no server you'll connect to faster than one that's hosted right on the same computer you are playing on. And sure enough, I could replicate the bug. But here's the bad news. It seems that server software such as Spigot, Paper, etc. prevents your inventory from bringing items across one server to another, whether intentionally or unintentionally. That's also the good news, by the way, because it means that servers aren't going to suddenly see the distribution of waves of illegal items upon my release of this video. You can see that when I bring items from my local server onto the SMP, they aren't real and are purely visual ghost items. Now, there may be methods of successfully bypassing whatever server software is preventing this, but I haven't discovered it yet. Maybe some hack client will be able to perform some shenanigans, but I don't know enough about the game's code and mechanics to figure that out. So yes, you can transport items across servers, but only if the server you are bringing items to is vanilla and isn't using modified server software like Spigot and Paper, so it would work on Realms. Alright, so that's kind of disappointing, isn't it? Well, not really, because as a server owner, I'm glad that this potential nightmare was avoided, but I am still a bit bummed about it not working on public servers. But all is not bad, as while it seems that the method of bringing items into public servers is currently unknown or impossible, there are still some powerful exploits that can be used on public servers with this bug. X-ray is one of them. When you connect to both servers at once, the chunks often don't load properly around you, allowing you to see through the ground. My server has anti-X-ray, by the way, so this exploit bypassed it. Furthermore, I only learnt so much about this bug in my brief few hours of experimentation, and yet it is still so unpredictable. Here's one instance where I gained the ability to no-clip through blocks and the world. I was also entirely invisible to other players on my server. This time I really was a ghost, but it seemed to be random and I couldn't successfully replicate it. However, if somebody does, this could be really powerful. Like I mentioned earlier, after my few hours of testing, I was able to learn quite a bit about this obscure bug. So in the hands of players who know much more about the intricacies and mechanics of the game, who knows what they could discover. So community, do what you do best and figure it out. Share this video around. And before I get comments mentioning that I'm bringing attention to a bug or exploit, just remember Remember, this bug report has existed for almost 8 years now, with numerous duplications of it. Mojang have had more than enough time to look into it. Be sure to contact me on Discord or at me on Twitter if you learn anything new about this bug, and I may make a follow-up video in the future. Make sure to subscribe and help me get to 400k. Thank you all so much for watching.